Thanks again, Susan, and welcome to all who have joined us and others that will be joining us over the next few minutes as we switch context from what we've been doing earlier today to taking some time to reflect on and perhaps develop some new takeaways or reaffirm some things that we already know that we want to apply in the coming days on our real work. So today we're going to identify why situational awareness is so important to the kind of work we do, as well as other forms of work. I'd like you to consider that my assertion that it's human nature for people to do whatever they can to avoid threats to their well-being. I think that's something that is not that difficult to adopt as at least a working premise. And so there's a constant vigil that includes changing the organizational rules of engagement to fit what we find is comfortable for each of us, our personal comfort zones. Consequently, stakeholders in an organization, maybe your own organization, likely your own organization, do things in certain ways. And those ways are to meet what they believe, their perceptions about what their job responsibilities are. It's often very individual. Often their actions are based on their perceptions. The perceptions of the best results for them, best outcomes for them, within their own framework that's based on their perceptions, the framework of reference with as little effort as possible. So, the path of least resistance is generally the one we're going to choose. So these in practice rules of engagement, really the real organizational culture, they're difficult for us to determine. Often we make assumptions that are false about the perceived rules of engagement. So that'll be the first thing we consider. We'll identify why situational rules are so important, and then we'll go over how to go about systematically revealing the hidden culture, and in a way that's going to be meaningful in our leadership roles as project managers or otherwise, in ways that will reveal the hidden culture such that it will inform our decision making and our actions. And so in the final part of today's talk, we'll look at how to pull it all together into action plans that will help us to become more effective going forward. Okay, so let's take a look at a few examples of situational awareness. So you see an airliner on the screen. Allow me to tell you a little bit of a story about this Eastern Airlines Flight 401. Maybe some of you recall the history of this ill-fated flight. It was December 29th, 1972, and this is a Lockheed L-1011 TriStar. And this aircraft that you see on the slide right here, was in preparation to land at Miami International Airport. And it had done so after an uneventful trip from New York. It had 163 passengers aboard. So just think about that, 163 souls aboard that aircraft in the envelope of that fuselage. There were 3 crew members and 10 flight attendants. Now here's what makes this situation very important for us to consider, I think. Instead of landing safely, it continued a slow descent into the Everglades and tragically killing 101 people. Now, the assertion that we're going to be considering here is that the skill of the pilots and the crew and the ability of those crew members, the combination of their skill, their ability does not necessarily overcome a lack of situational awareness. So what happened? What happened to that ill-fated flight? Let's take a look at the next slide. What a mess. What a tragic mess. So, well, upon arriving in the Miami airport, the first officer, as you might expect, you don't have to be a pilot to know that at some point upon landing approach, the first officer is going to lower the landing gear. But in this flight, one of the landing gear indicators had not illuminated. They recycled the gear, still no light. Then the circuit breaker was recycled, still no light. They requested and entered a holding pattern and put the aircraft on autopilot and began working on the landing gear problem. So the second officer went down into the avionics bay on this aircraft that was beneath the flight deck. And the purpose of that going down below was to confirm via a small porthole, visually confirm that the landing gear was indeed down. Now, during this time, the autopilot had been accidentally disengaged during this activity, and the aircraft then began a slow descent. Now, the crew was thinking about the landing gear. What is the landing gear, up or down? Is it safe to land with the landing gear in the configuration that we seem to have now? The crew didn't hear an altitude warning chime because they were talking and they were addressing potential causes of the gear problem. Was it the indicator that was the problem? Was it the gear itself that was the problem? This flight hit the Everglades at 365 knots. So this accident occurred due to a complete loss of situational awareness. In fact, my associate Jim Stanton and I have written about this and much of the other points we're going to make in today's webinar. My associate Jim Stanton has also done a National Transportation and Safety Board accident reviews. So it comes with some authority based on the results of the investigation that the accident was caused by a complete loss of situational awareness, an intense focus on one problem. And this despite the fact that the captain had 29,700 flight hours. That's a lot. And the first officer had 5,800 flight hours. So again, experience and skill and ability, not always enough to overcome a lack of situational awareness. Take a look at another scenario. What happened here? It was July 29th, 1969. And this is a view from the Lunar Module of Apollo 11. This is the famous flight of Mike Collins and Armstrong and Aldrin. In this case, it was Armstrong and Aldrin that were in the Lunar Module. So the Lunar Module, at this point in this visual here, was descending to make the very first landing on the moon, the manned landing on the moon. And the computer-controlled descent had things well in hand. You know, with the L-1011, the aircraft was well in hand as well until accidentally the autopilot was turned off and not to the awareness of the flight crew. In this case, the computer-controlled descent on the L-11 Lunar Module.
Hi there, I hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Malutis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also getting complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.